Well, I'm sure most, if not all of you, have seen the new Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, and wow, this was incredible. To summarize, more Mario Kart 10, now known as Mario Kart World, Elden Ring, Cyberpunk, new exclusive FromSoft game, Discord,
Hi. Fucking on you, little bitch.
and a new Kirby Air Ride, directed by Masahiro Sakurai, and a new 3D Donkey Kong. I mean, this was incredible. But there was this dark cloud looming over the presentation, that being the price.
That Mario Kart World cost $80.
$80 for Mario Kart World.
Holy shit!
It's literally a demo tool, right? That is apparently a paid-for experience. Charging for this is fucking insane.
This thing is expensive.
Hey everyone, my name is Isaiah, aka Tobias, and if you remember back in 2017, one of the first things Nintendo mentioned was the price of the Switch.
In North America, it will be $299.99.
And now in this presentation, the price was conveniently omitted for the games and the system. Alright, $450 is steep, but considering the horsepower packed into this little guy, it's fair enough. But games are now being sold for $80. What the f*** happened here? I mean, this is the most expensive games have ever been, right? Well, kinda. Okay, so let's go back to the third and fourth generation of consoles. These game prices were absolutely insane. Look at this $40 for Mario 2. $45 for Yoshi's Island, $65 for Shaq Fu, which was garbage, $75 for Legend of Gaia, which was turbo garbage, $88 for Killer Instinct, $95 for Doom. Holy f***. The SNES launched at a price of $199. And at the time Doom came out, it was around $99. Imagine a PS5 game costing half as much or as much as you spent on the system. That would be f***ing riots. And look at the prices of these consoles. The SNES was on the lower side. $200 for the Atari 2600 in 1977. Adjusted for inflation, that is $1,053.08. What the f***? You are paying $1,000 for this? Neo Geo was $650 when it came out. Now, that's $3,422. Granted, this console was full of bangers and performs like an actual arcade machine, which was insane at the time, but good lord! The PlayStation 1 really straightened things out when it came to price, but wow, games clearly have always been this expensive. So I guess Nintendo isn't that bad. Except, everything I said before was a lie.
My source is that I made it the fuck up.
Yeah, I'm cutting that out. That's not going. No, I wasn't really lying. It was more like an omission of fact. See, while, yes, for inflation, those prices are incredibly high and were true, but that isn't truly conducive of how much people were actually spending on games back then. Because you have to know the full story. Inflation is just a part of it. So, as we all know, nowadays, is expensive. There is this great YouTube video by a guy named Super Nintendo where he showcases the change of buying power. And look, adjusted for inflation, eggs should really only be about $1.92 right now. Milk, $1.37. And gas, $1.37? Oh man, my stomach hurts. And this isn't even talking about rent and housing prices. So while games were incredibly expensive back then, the amount people were spending on necessities were so low that people had a lot more surplus than they do now. And with that surplus, they could buy Donkey Kong Country or 3DO. Okay, maybe that's even too high. But nowadays, Nintendo was starting to charge retro game prices in a modern economy. And we can blame a lot of things for these new prices, like tariffs and other shit. But do you really want to hear a 17-year-old kid talk about politics? Because God knows I don't. So instead, I'm going to say it how it is. Nintendo does not care about us or our wallets when they know they can get away with it. Look at the games being priced at $80. It's Mario Kart and Zelda. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe alone sold 67 million copies. If Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was a country, it would be more populated than 198 other countries. Everyone is going to want the new Mario Kart, especially since it comes out day one with the Switch 2. That is the Switch 2 game. So Nintendo thinks this is the game they can with. And that's not even mentioning the hype around Tears of the Kingdom and how much people love and adore that game, and the one problem being frame rates now being fixed with this new $80 price tag. I mean, they know what they're doing. And what they're doing is smart, because as much as people are going to complain about it, they're still going to get it. I watched the Direct multiple times, have been rewatching each trailer, have been refreshing their website, because I am a huge fan. And fans are what makes Nintendo money. But if you aren't a huge fan, don't buy it. Nintendo used to discount their games all the time with Nintendo Selects and Player's Choice, making some of the biggest games just $20. And that was when Nintendo was not really at their top. Now with the Nintendo Switch generation, games that are 7 years old are now being bumped up to $70. Remasters of games are more expensive than the original version that came out like 10 years ago, and then was permanently knocked down just to be brought up again. And don't get me wrong, Sony and Microsoft used to do this a lot too, and now their games don't get this treatment as often, but at least their games go on sale. Nintendo games never do. They go on anti-sales. So what do? Well, you just vote with your wallets. Game prices have been increasing from $50 to $60 to $70 and now $80 and beyond. But despite how stubborn Nintendo is, we have forced them to reduce prices before. Back in 2011, when the 3DS dropped, Nintendo priced them at $250. Or $354 today. And people just said no. That isn't enough horsepower or enough features or whatever people cared about back then to spend on that. Barely anyone bought a 3DS until Nintendo caved in. They reduced the price to $170. And if you really want to send a message, then maybe you should withdraw your money and wait for the fire to settle down. You don't owe Nintendo anything. So just wait. Mario Kart World will still be there, and when it's affordable, you'll feel proud knowing you did your part. And it's already happening. If you watched the Nintendo Treehouse recently, you would have seen the whole chat was chanting, "Lower the price, lower the price, lower the price." And this is what we should do. We should be going against the big guys. And I'm glad you guys are doing that. Not me though, I already registered the pre-order. You. Oh my god!